It's on my list of questions. Okay, so one of the things that you mentioned already, the Q&A, is it going to be specifically around your presentation? Or it's just open to our total topic, our overall topic?
It's open to your conversation.
Okay, great. So we can be fluid. All right. So we're just waiting for Deji and Fisayo. Okay.
Hello?
Oh, hello. How are you?
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Great.
My internet has been a bit trippy. Hold on.
Club. Find the club. So is this Fisayo? Okay, he's disappeared. What happened to him?
So yeah, that was Faishai. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And hopefully Deji will join us while we're here. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wande Adams. I lead the team at the Bulb Africa. Welcome to another session of our campaign All Over COVID-19. We are truly living in unique times. The COVID-19 pandemic is impacting everyone from our families to our businesses and all those who are taking care of the affected ones among us. As the situation continues to affect our world, it is important that we stay engaged with the public. In doing this, we believe we have an opportunity to impact our community in a unique way. The Bulb Africa is a tech incubator and a training platform. So why can't we do what we do, leveraging on technology to impact our world? This is why we have decided to have several live virtual events to add value during this time. These events include live sessions with healthcare experts, both locally and abroad. These panelists included, when we had it on Monday, physicians, mental health practitioners, nurses, pediatricians, public health professionals. We specifically focused on healthcare professionals in America because America is currently the epicenter of the epidemic, of the pandemic. So they were able to tell us what they were seeing, advise us on how we can calm down. The psychologist was very helpful on how we can have adaptability measures. The pediatrician was very instrumental in telling us how we can protect our children, especially infants in this current period, and how we can also get them to stay engaged and not feel the anxiety of just being at home 24 hours a day, and how you can pretty much find different activities for them to do. It was a very fantastic session that happened on Monday. On Wednesday, we had an ideathon, which I was privileged to host. The ideathon is to dialogue on some ideas to help during this time, how we can build on these ideas for the future. We interviewed the CEO of Enter5 Kemdi, who is doing something around gathering data with their product versus they're gathering data on how this is impacting businesses and how businesses can use their data to make decisions for their business going forward. We also interviewed the CEO of Findworker, Dele Bakari, who his company came up with this idea to build a platform that allows us to inform authorities on some of the symptoms that the citizens may be feeling. So you can go on this platform. It is called cityhealthreport.com. Go on this platform, and if you're having any of the symptoms that you realize that are part of what they said are the coronavirus symptoms, you can just put your symptoms in there, and they are able to gather a report to say, oh, in Surulere, we're getting similar cases all over the place. So the authorities can say, you know what, let's go focus on Surulere. There's about to be a breakout in Surulere, in Ikeja, in Makoko, and the like. So that product covers the entire 36 states. And, we also talked about what we could do with that product going forward. We deliberated on other ideas on Wednesday, and that team was gracious enough to say that they want to come back. It was very educative, very insightful. We will continue with, this morning we had a session with a gentleman from Commercial Partners talking about the economy and how this is impacting everyday lives. And we also had another gentleman from MTN talking about some of the tools that SMEs can use to continue to run their businesses even in this difficult time. Going forward, right now we're going to talk about technology and the impact of technology in this current time, and then the impact of technology on African businesses going forward. We are going to have Instagram live sessions. We're going to interview some tech founders. We're having a virtual pitch day focused on healthcare solution. We're looking for a tech solution in healthcare that we will use this opportunity to find a startup that we can invest in. Finally, we have a series of training sessions that we're offering for free. We're training Lean Six Sigma, Introduction to Agile, Introduction to Data Science, and data analysis. But first, let's talk about the Bulb Africa and what we do at the Bulb Africa. So for us, all over COVID-19 is a campaign of the Bulb Africa. The Bulb Africa is an incubation tech hub by Innovate Solutions. The CEO of Innovate is here. He will talk more about, I'm sure he will talk more about the reason why the company decided to go and set up a tech hub. It's an initiative of Innovate Solutions, and what we are is a tech platform for all. We are a platform for individuals, we're a platform for corporations, and we're very big on partnerships. For individuals, we create a platform where entrepreneurs can bring ideas. So startups, startup ideas, tech ideas that we can incubate and make them become business realities. We take businesses from startup to scale up. We help developers. We find, train, and create employment opportunities for software engineers. We are a training platform as well. We help with job placement in the tech space. We help companies hire software engineers, and we're very big on partnership when it comes to partnering with NGOs, corporations, and international organizations. Our businesses can be broken down into startup programs like accelerator and incubator programs. We are a training facility for businesses and individuals that are trying to skill up or learn a new tech stack, or pretty much protect their business with program subjects like cybersecurity, or use data to help their business decision making. We provide resources of all kinds in tech. If you go to our platform, thebulb.africa, you'll be able to find resources that will help you either as an individual who is interested in technology, or as a business who is interested now to see how the advances of technology can help your business. We have a fantastic co-working space at our facility. We are a community of communities. What that means is if you're looking for a tech community to join, you can come to the Bulb Africa and see the tech community that actually fits your purpose. And then again, we're very big on partnership. Our co-working space is called The Desk. The Desk Africa is on the ground floor of our tech hub in Jibo, Oyaba. We're located at 39 Ikorodu Road in Jibo. It is a 24-hour facility with 24-hour power and internet. And it is equipped with meeting rooms, mouse, monitor, and a keyboard. We have an event center that you can get at a subsidized rate, and pretty much it is for tech startups, and we make it available on a quarterly, biannual, or annual basis. For more information, please visit desk.africa. So that brings us to some of the events that the Bulb Africa would host during the course of a year. ACE being the flagship African Concept Expo. It's an exhibition of African tech invention that will be happening. We will be launching the first one March 2021. We have been talking to an accelerator in the US called Techstars. Techstars Startup Week Lagos should be happening sometime before the end of the year. We were planning September, but then we don't know how long this is going to be, and this is affecting our planning. When I mean this, I mean coronavirus. We also take Bulb on the Road, where we take some of our startups that we're incubating and we take them to different accelerator programs around the world, be it Silicon Valley, be it in Europe or in Asia. And then we have our own version of African Women in Tech, TechJoy, headed by our program manager, Mo Durosimieti. All Over COVID-19 for us is our campaign that spreads positivity and adds value during this period. As you can imagine, a lot of anxiety, a lot of people are feeling, people are losing their jobs, a lot of people are feeling weary. So we thought that we could put a series of programs together that can add value in this moment. So that's why Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we have these types of panel sessions to try to educate the public. And then on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, we're offering free training services. For more information, you can visit allovercovid19.com or reach out to us on social media, hashtag allovercovid19 or the Bob Africa or the Bob.Africa on Instagram. Today is another exciting one. We have Faith History here to host the Worldwide Tech Trends. And I will use this opportunity to welcome Faith. Faith will go ahead and take on the introduction of her panelists. And then, but for right now, thank you. Again, my name is Wande. I lead the team at the Bob Africa. Faith, over to you.
All right, Wande, thank you so much. That was very, very helpful. And thanks for the introduction on what everything that the Bulb is doing. And welcome to the industry, I guess, in Lagos. I met you guys a few years ago, about a couple of years ago, and it's exciting to see all the growth and all the new things that are coming along. So welcome to our panelists. We're gonna first start, well, let me introduce myself. My name is Faith History. I'm the host and producer of eDigital Africa. At eDigital Africa, we do media, we do strategy, and we do content. So that's what we do. We have several radio shows, TV shows on multiple channels. So as an aggregate, we reach up to 1.2 million people across Nigeria and the rest of the world. So we're very excited about being part of this session. And one of the things that I wanted to just point out was that this session is very important just for us to all get an understanding of what's going on and be thought leaders, you know. So I'm very excited to introduce my panelists. And to start with, I'm going to go to Richmond Ogigai, who is a Senior VP and CEO at Innovate Solutions. Hi, Richmond, how are you? You on the call?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Faith. I'm fine.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And then
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Next up, we're going to be introducing Adedeji Olowe, who is the CEO of Turim Networks Limited. Adedeji, hi, how are you? Just welcome. Deji, you there? Okay, maybe he's not there, but what about Feisayo? Feisayo, are you there?
Hi, Faith, how are you doing? Can you hear me?
Hi, how are you? Did your internet work?
Thank you.
All right, awesome. So before we get started, could we just go quickly? Let's start from the back forward. So we'll start with Feisayo. Can you just tell us what you do at Africa FinTech Foundry as a team lead?
Hi, everyone. Like Faith has introduced myself to you guys. Feisayo, I am the team lead of digital experience and engagement at the African FinTech Foundry. And so let me just start off with giving you a brief intro into what the African FinTech Foundry is. It is an initiative of Access Bank that serves as the innovation hub of the bank to drive innovation internally and externally across all segments and across all sectors in Nigeria. So what we basically do is we have programs where we have to partner with startups, tech startups generally. A very strong focus in fintech. However, we accommodate all other startups as well. So what we do is we look at them, we look at their solution, we look at their ability to to disrupt a particular sector or a particular area of need that customers or Nigerians currently need or currently use. And then we partner with them to see how we can grow their businesses. So we run that in form of an accelerator program. We also have other different schemes where we run hackathons and we run thought leadership events like the Disrupt 2019 and another one coming up in 2020. My role currently there is to look at the products. So I look at it from the perspective of the user. I kind of look at what the need is for the product, what value are they bringing to the user, and how can you use design thinking to deliver lovable products that people would use, and products that can be monetized and can disrupt the Nigerian economy. So that's a brief brief summary of what I actually do.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. That was very clear. Okay, so I'm not sure if Deji is on the call with us. Deji, are you here? Okay, not sure. Okay, so Deji won't be joining us apparently, and so I think one day is going to come on and be my third panelist on this one. Let's go to Richmond. Richmond, can you tell us what your role is at Innovate Solutions? I know you're the senior VP and CEO, but what's your day-to-day pre-COVID?
All right. Thank you very much, Faith. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Basically, at Innovate Solutions, I sit as the CEO and the Vice President, Senior Vice President specifically. What we do as a company is to become that solution provider company.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Richmond, okay, can all the panelists please turn on their videos?
All right.
Okay, so everybody can see you. Hi, Richmond. Okay, all right, Feishayo, we're waiting for your video, so just turn it on so we can all see each other.
All right. Okay, I'm trying to get that on.
All right. So.
All right. Okay. Oh, there we go. We all have videos on. Nice.
All right.
Okay, we're just waiting for Feishayo's video. If you can't, that's fine. The picture will suffice. Okay, I see you one day, and then we're just waiting for Feishayo, and then we can all see each other. Okay. Okay. So Richmond, please go ahead. You were telling us about your work at Innovate.
Yeah, so like I was saying, basically for us at Innovate, we have built a company in such a way that we pride ourselves as a solutions provider. And our focus is to ensure that we play across several verticals. And that technically means that we look into different sectors of the economy and even across continents to build applications that cuts across different industries. We pride ourselves as an all-tech company, and that clearly means that we are not limited by sectors. So we look out for gaps in certain sectors and develop, I'll borrow the word of Asia, disruptable solution, in those sectors. In addition to that, what we also try to do is to contribute value to the entire tech ecosystem by creating a platform for talent and entrepreneurs to express their technical and business capabilities, and that's why we have decided to put an offshoot of the Tech Hub, which is today known as the Bob. My day-to-day activities at Innovate, spans across, managing resources in terms of people, of course, managing finance, and of course, build the right culture and value for a brand, that is set to, take and stand the test of time. We call ourselves a generational company. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And Deji, you were able to join us. So exciting things. Wait, no. What's going on here? We had Feishayo and then Deji. Okay, Deji's back. Feishayo, I can see you now. Deji, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. Apologies for joining late. I think I got the old time thing mixed up. When you've been home for 2-3 weeks and the time just looks.
We're not going anywhere. We're here. as one day would say. Where are we going? Nowhere. We're here.
Nowhere,
Also-
actually.
All right. Okay. So thank you for joining us. We're
You're
just
welcome.
seeing each other. So could you just jump in and tell us what you do over at Trum Networks as a CEO? What does Trum Networks do? And then what do you do personally pre-COVID?
Thank you so much. Trum Networks is a venture builder. A venture builder is a special type of venture capital. Instead of having to put money into other startups, we actually bring the ideas to the table and then look at the viability and put in money directly by ourselves. And venture building is actually very common, even though it may not be as common as venture capital. So, for example, Twitter came out of venture building. Jumia and all those Jumia companies came out of venture building as well. So, venture building is is a common, but not as common as venture capital.
So what's the difference between venture building and venture capital?
So venture capital put money in startups, in other businesses. Venture building, you still take money from investors, but you create the companies yourself. Pros and cons to that.
Got it. Okay. So you're actually building the venture yourself as opposed to
Absolutely, yeah.
build. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what you do. And I think everybody's introduced themselves. Fayshia, you did already, so we're all in there. And so let's get into today's topic, right? Did I miss anyone? Did I miss anyone? One day, so you're going to join us as a panelist, right? You're going to stay on. Now that we have Deji, are you going to stay on?
He's going to stay on.
I was hoping
We love his face.
I was hoping I could just step the sidelines and learn. I just want to learn.
Okay.
My guy is here. Richmond is here. He will speak
Richmond
for me.
All right. So, all right.
I think one day to join the train, please. That would make it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, let's all be in there. Okay. So so let's start with the
Throw some questions at me.
Okay, so let's start with you. So let's start with the new tech innovations and trends that are taking hold globally that some of us have noticed. Have you noticed anything from your research, especially when we go to like ground zero, where this whole COVID started, which would be like China, right? So they went on lockdown first. They're kind of starting to free up. Have you noticed anything that is new that's coming out of that market in terms of innovation or trends? Because it might not be an innovation, but it might be a trend, like something that we can look at and say, oh, this is happening. Does that mean that it's going to come down this way to Africa?
Fantastic. Good afternoon again, everyone. So you get to realize that a lot of people now, there are some new technology that you've come to find out in the past recent weeks, right? Let's take it from different sectors. Now in the business world, everybody knows Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and all other video conferencing solutions. And they have seen a spike in their business, right? Then on the lifestyle side of things, you would have seen things like House Party and TikTok. And though they have also seen a spike in usage and in uptake. So technology is definitely playing a role both in our business dealings and in our personal life. And that's the conversation that I really hope that we can really dig into today. So absolutely, there are, in my introduction, I talked about even City Health Report, which is a solution that came up in Nigeria to tackle COVID-19 and beyond COVID-19. We're talking about being able to track breakouts in down to local environments. So technology is playing a huge role, and new things are coming up. New things will continue to come up. And to your point, there are some innovation that have been around for a bit that people are just latching onto now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that. Do you wanna jump in? Who wants to jump in on that? Fayshia, what have you noticed?
Can you guys hear me? Sorry. Yeah. So like Wande rightfully said and they set out a couple of the different solutions / products that have been out there that are, widespread, gaining some sort of adoption because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I kind of believe that there are also, if you also look at the, how do I put it now, the education sector, where, a lot of online learning has been going on. You have kids that are no longer going to schools. You have also, university students that are no longer going to schools, and they have to, continuously learn so they can keep up with the curriculum here. So there've been a couple of, adoption in using online learning tools as well. The only other thing I spotted out, which if we come down to the local scene in Nigeria, is the adoption in using what they call it e-commerce to other, our normal food essentials. So basically, because most of the country, most of the states are currently on the lockdown, there is also need for people to place orders online and also place orders over the phone and make payments online. So that's another space that you can see gaining adoption. If you really look at it, these areas I've mentioned are not anything new, because these have existed for a long period of time. So which goes to say that, the whole COVID-19 pandemic is essentially just accelerating what is meant to happen in the future. So that's what it's really about. It's not necessarily about people bringing out new innovation. It's just about some of these innovations that have already existed and are not gaining adoption and now gaining adoption at the moment. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else want to jump in on that?
Let me say a little bit on the enterprise end. Two things, right? Prior to now, you have companies saying if they don't see wet inks, contracts are not valid.
Sorry, sometimes you go in and then sometimes you come out. So I don't know if
is this better now? Is this better now?
Yeah, it's good now.
Okay, I said prior to now, we have companies, a lot of companies, legacy companies that will tell you that, look, if you don't put wet ink, like if you don't physically sign a paper in multiple copies, a contract is not binding.
Absolutely, or invoices.
Only invoices. Now, the reality is biting everybody in some places, right? Now, you will even be more than happy to even get a contract in the first instance, whether it's electronic or verbal or spiritual, So that is going to change. And depending on how long this lockdown will be, some of this behavior may be long lasting. Look, if we are, I hope not, let's say we lock down for 2 months, and then you've been getting things done in some ways with electronic signatures, you may just find out that that's where it is. That's one. At a very senior level where I operate, you notice that prior to now, board meetings, very important meetings with very senior people don't have, unless you have to have the meeting. If you want to meet a governor, you have to.
Their private jet, right?
Now, everybody's embracing this thing. The first few days were jarring, but right now, suddenly everybody has that competence. I'm talking at the highest level. Even people that are techno Luddites, they're okay with it. And I believe that these will significantly impact how we do business subsequently. Lastly, you notice that central bank has suspended clearing of checks. Before now, for loans for certain businesses, if they don't see a check or a bank draft smiling at you in the face, they are not going to deal. Now there's even if I could get a check to your house, not a single bank today will accept a third-party check from you, which is forcing the few holders we have in enterprises that don't like to do electronic payments to be forced to deal with that. We also look, if this thing continues for a while, it's going to be quite significant in terms of how it changes how businesses are done forever. Yeah.
Right. How business is being done, how lifestyle, how we're living. It's basically accelerating digital into our current environment. All right. Thank you for that. I think, Richmond, do you want to jump in on that? Are there any trends that, that haven't been mentioned that you want to just highlight for us?
I mean, I think DJ and Falasha has done very huge justice to some of the trends that you are seeing. I think it's no news now that a lot of businesses are beginning to shape their activities towards digitization, and like what DJ mentioned, you would find organizations now embracing the trend of having virtual meetings, and I think those are the kind of adoption that will continue, So, I mean, it's digitization across, every industry, across a business, even as individuals, how that is revamping how we live our life every day. So, I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
So that's going across. Okay. All right. I agree. Huh? Go ahead.
On that, one of the things that I see that will be a trend. So far we've talked about adoptions that have already been available that people are just jumping on, right? Yes. You now start to see a lot of more contactless solutions, more contactless solutions. That's what you now start to see. We've been in our fintech industry has been talking about how we can become more of a cashless society. You begin to see solutions that will encourage less cash and more digitization of payment solutions, and even down to when I talk about our visitors management solution at Innovate, you don't have to physically get a pen and sign on paper, because there's a tablet and there's a code that you just have to give to the security guard and they put it in, and then you, without contacting anyone, you visited a business or an estate. So a lot of contactless solutions will begin to emerge.
Getting developed, or if they haven't been developed, they'll start getting developed. And if they've been developed, there'll be more of an uptake, since people are open now to picking up, even new technology. So that takes me to the elephant in the room that everybody's been talking about. People have been sending hoaxes around and scaring each other, and that's 5G. Does anybody want to jump in on this one? Are we ready for 5G? Is this a grand plan to pave the way for 5G in Africa, indeed across the world? Is this a grand plan to make sure everybody sits down and realizes, we need this thing, we should be begging for it at this point? And what are the ramifications of going towards something like that for a market like ours, where we're still growing, really, and now we're about to jump into this new technology that, frankly, a lot of countries are fighting over it. There's just all types of underground conspiracy theories, So what do you guys think about 5G? I'm going to start with you, Richmond.
Okay.
All right. I mean, for me, I just want to see that as it's just a technology, really. I really don't care about, all of the, in some word, conspiracy theory and all of it. I mean, where was 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, now 5G? Why is that? Why is that different? As end users, I mean, it's a welcome technology, to help, our day-to-day, digital-driven, economy or environment. So for me, I just see that as, maybe it's just a coincidence rather than just, looking at it from an angle where, there is maybe there is a political or some kind of intention around these things. I mean, China today has, discovered that, and it's a business. I'm ready to deploy a technology that I think, if you are interested, please call me and we will deploy that. You even hear that some of the fiber installation that is going on, within the country is all part of the game plan. For me, I mean, it's like coming tomorrow. I mean, Apple comes with another kind of iPhone during this period, and they tell you that the iPhone is part of what is increasing the spread of COVID-19. All of that. I think we should just look at it from a business and from a technology development standpoint. So the guys can decide, in Europe, are you interested in 5G? Please give it to me. In Africa, sure, bring it to me. Am I going to be happy to have fast speed technology or internet, at the basic level? Oh, yes, sure. I mean, I need more internet speed. It's not the best globally, but a country that is ahead of its development game has decided to commercialize it. So why the noise? So that's how I see it, basically.
Okay, this is how you see it. Okay, Deji, you want to jump in? Yeah, some
Okay,
thoughts.
thank you. So it's kind of amusing, also scary listening to people about the 5G conspiracy.
Why amusing?
It's amusing because, well, I guess if you're in the know or if you're in a tech space, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But at the same time, I think there's a valid basis for people to be scared. And what I would say is this is because there's this thing, I don't know this quote, but it's something we know that say every technology that is sufficiently advanced is actually not different from witchcraft, because basically witchcraft is something happens, you see an old grandma fly on a broom and then you're wondering how she's done it. So if you see 5G is very, very advanced enough to see US trying to throw roadblocks ahead of China just to be able to catch up. Mm-hmm. But let's take a step back. There are two things to look at here. Let's look at the technology and let's look at the conspiracy. Technology first. So 5G is the latest version of telecom standard. We have the 4G, we have 3G, everybody knows about that. Of course, everybody knows the way generations come, it will continue until 100G, until something else shows up.
By that time, we'll be beaming.
That time we'll probably all be dinosaurs or something like that. So 5G uses what they call line of sight frequency, usually runs around 28 gigahertz, 28 gigahertz. Of course, at 60 gigahertz, we start having what they call ionizing radiations. So it's not up to that. And it works on line of sight, meaning that it can't pass through, it's not as robust as the other, like 4G or 3G, but because it's line of sight and it's at high frequency, it's able to carry higher capacity. So you can see your phone may be able to do 1 gigabit speed. Well, if and when MTN and the rest get to it. So you can get very high speed. That's it. And the truth is, it takes years to bring technologies to the market. It's taken like almost 5 years to get 5G to the market. As we speak right now, people are already working on 6G. So this thing is not trivial. We are looking at people spending billions of dollars, years of experiment. But because we don't do things like that in Nigeria, so when we see finished product and we see the amazing things it can do, it's easy for people to believe. Now, this conspiracy is not limited to Nigeria at all.
It's not. It's all over the internet.
It's a global phenomenon, and it's coming at a time when Yoruba people have a proverb that says the witch shouted yesterday, the child died today. Somebody can link that maybe the witch that shouted was the one that killed the child. So it's coming at a time of the virus. Everybody's looking, look, nobody has seen this virus. Now, that's a conspiracy. Now, I've seen people talk online, and even people that are respected says, oh, it's supposed to kill people. And you can debunk that in simple ways. The first thing is that if 5G kills everyone, then who's going to use 5G, right? What's the use of setting something that's killing everybody? Like if the federal government put on 5G and everybody dies, of what benefit is 5G? That's one. Number two, the federal government that is installing this 5G.
Wait, hold on, Deji. I gotta clap for you on that one. That's in fact, that's the conversation. If we're gonna kill everybody with 5G, hello, who's gonna be left to use it? Who's gonna be left
to use it? So the next question is, the guys doing it in federal government, are they immune to 5G? So you go and install 5G, kills everybody in a neighborhood.
Their own neighborhoods, right?
And then the guy that installed it goes away, or is the federal government, the ministers, are they immune to the dangers of 5G? And then the third one is, look, the federal government doesn't even, they don't even, they are not the one that put up telecoms infrastructure in the first instance. It's done by MTN, Airtel, Spectranet, and the rest of them. So,
right, but they get to approve it though. Federal government does get to approve it, right? It goes through them at some point.
So if you listen to videos of pastors and the rest of them, what you hear is that, oh, the federal government shut down Lagos and Abuja so that they can install 5G. That's so. Yeah, so basically 5G is a good technology. It's going to, I hope they do it very well in Nigeria, because the 4G that was done by the telcos, I'm not seeing the benefit of a 4G on my phone. Half of the time my network is doing some kind of coronavirus thing, you understand? So I hope the 5G will be good enough. But beyond that, the technology is actually amazing. If you tested it, it's out of this world. Conspiracy theories will always come and go. After 5G, trust me, another conspiracy will come maybe around September, July. We don't know.
Maybe they'll skip 6G. All right, Faisha, do you want to jump on one too? Do you want to give us some ideas? Thank you for that, by the way, Digi.
Right.
Did you want to say something, Wande?
Oh, okay. So I was going to say that the conspiracy theory didn't start now. When iPhone 1 came out, there was conspiracy theory that there is a touchscreen iPod and it's blowing up in people's pockets, right? When the Bluetooth technology came out, they say if you leave that thing in your ear, you go deaf. So every time there is technology advancement, there's always conspiracy theory around it. Now, it is important to educate the public, and I think it's our responsibility as tech people in the tech industry to actually educate the public. It is very important to first educate the public. What is 5G? Do you understand? And I'm glad that DG went into the technology, but in simple English, it's just 5th generation. It doesn't mean anything. So there is no special technology that is causing some sort of virus or some sort of the conspiracy theory that is being shared. Like, it doesn't make sense. And DG is right. It's absolutely comical, right? The 5th generation of long-term evolution, which is LTE, is going to be 10 times, the latency is 10 times faster than 4G. Now, Deji is also right. We've never really enjoyed the full benefits of 4G in Nigeria. And so you can imagine in a real 4G environment, you download a 2-hour movie in 20 minutes. With 5G, it's 2 minutes. So beyond, let's forget Netflix now, and let's focus on delivering healthcare solutions and things like telemedicine and the kind of advances NASA can make, the type of advances that we can make in several sectors, transportation and logistics, aviation. 5G technology is going to make the world actually more profitable. So I don't know why we always shoot ourselves in the foot by spreading these conspiracy theories. It's an advantage and a benefit to the world. 5G is an advantage and a benefit to the world.
All right. Okay. Thanks for your input. I'm going to take a couple of questions from the audience. We've got Ademolu Adetokunbo, who wants to ask all the panelists. He says, how about the radiation recorded from the use of 5G devices? Who wants to jump on that? Feishayo, do you wanna answer that? Would you like to? Did you hear anything about radiation and 5G?
Okay, so from a health perspective, I would say that from my little understanding of how 5G is, the radiations from this type of network cannot, from my own knowledge and from my own research, is not sufficient enough to cause anything or any damage to the skin. But in all, right, the thing what I want to really particularly say about it is that we live in an age of information. And that's one thing that I was going to add to everything every other person has said. And what particularly that means is the fact that information is readily available to us. I mean, gone are the days where we had, for us to understand something about the 5G technology or the 5G network, we had to go to like like a library to get some literature review, or try and the information is available on YouTube, it's available on Google. And my advice to Nigerians particularly is the fact that the internet itself is actually a tool for information. So anything you're not clear on, it's advisable for you to read on it. It doesn't take anything more than 20, 30 minutes of your time, or watch some documentary on it. Someone comes up with a conspiracy theory. Is it true? You do some further research on it. So that's essentially, what I would advise Nigerians or anybody that is on this platform to do, to always try and seek further information to understand before you make a claim or before you, get into a state of fear. So back to the question, I know particularly from a medical or health perspective, the radiations out of, the 5G network is not harmful or is not invasive to the body.
To the body.
Like-
Okay.
Okay, so if I go add to that, there is let me give an idea of how radiations affect the body. So we have in physics, we have what we call the electromagnetic waves. So everything is a wave. So the light we see is a part of the spectrum of the wave. The heat of so when we touch something hot or we are feeling it, that is infrared. And then you have the sun, also have things like ultraviolet waves. So it's a whole range. So at the small end, you have things with small wavelengths, like radio waves. Then as you move up, as the wavelengths start reducing and this frequency increases, you have what we call ionizing radiations. Basically, these are electromagnetic waves that when they touch the cell, they can, our cell is made up of proteins and molecules and ions, right? They are small enough that they can actually knock off maybe an electron or something out of a cell or a molecule. When that happens, that is when it becomes damaging. So for wavelengths that are very small, like things like X-ray and the rest of them, they can actually be extremely damaging. Is a range. 6G, 5G is at a range that is less harmful than when harm starts happening from electromagnetic wave that runs around 60 gigahertz and beyond. So yes.
And
now,
you said 5G is around 24
no,
to 20.
it's around 24, 28 gigahertz.
Okay. So
Yeah.
until we reach that 60, we shouldn't worry.
No, so you can't use the 60, but remember, like when you're a researcher and you are building a technology, so you only make money when people are alive to use your technology. Yeah, there can be incompetence, there can be some stupidity, there can be some oversight, but nobody sets out to build a 5G network knowing fully well it's going to kill everyone. If it kills everyone, you have a business case. Remember, greed is the biggest factor here. I want to bring a technology that people will buy. Only the living buy services, right? So, but of course, at different times, there are debacles like exploding Samsung phones. We've seen the Boeing 737 MAX plane that have issues. They are different from, those are like mistakes and defects in manufacturing, right? But they are different from, oh, I want to go and kill everyone, then I'm going to sell the products. Unless you're a terrorist, but I doubt if that's the case.
Yeah, but I do think, thank you so much for breaking it down and breaking down the numbers. In essence, I think we should take the conversation away from here and just move on to something else. Fayshia mentioned something, which is if you're confused still and you're on this call, make sure you go and do your research. And I'm sure that the Bulb will compile a list of places where you can get great information, because the internet can also be a wormhole where you can get on and start doing research, and then next thing 12 hours later you're sucked into the conspiracy theorist webs. So you definitely need, it'll be nice to share, and I'm sure one day can facilitate that, to share a list of known and trusted sources where you can get more information if you need to about 5G. And I think it's also a good thing for the citizenry to question these things. Okay, yeah, we mustn't go all crazy about it, but we should always question. I'm one of those people who I love technology, but there's always a good question in me to say, okay, what are we doing now? Because if we don't question, we'll all just carry our head there, and before you know it, we're all gone. But Deji said, if we're not there to experience or use it, then what use is it? So okay, so moving on to my next question. How can local businesses pivot in this period? How can they survive? How can they pivot with what they currently, with what they were doing in this new environment? So we don't know how long the lockdown is going to be for. Some of the businesses have already started pivoting. People are taking their products online. But what are some useful, simple methods, simple things that they can do right now, right away, from you gentlemen, that that you just feel like, hey, if you're a local business in different sectors, so I'll just, you'll just take a sector and just break it down. What can local businesses do right now to pivot and to survive? So Richmond, I always look at Richmond because he's at the bottom of my screen. But let me skip from Richmond. Let me go. Let's go straight to. Do you want to start, Richmond?
Yeah, I mean, I can try to say something. Yes, it depends on your definition for local businesses and how you categorize them. Unfortunately, it's a period where businesses have to, reshape their approach to how they want to continue to remain relevant amidst the pandemic, and how they can scale post the COVID-19 pandemic. I think one of the things that I would recommend, I mean, whichever category of these small businesses or local businesses, maybe, is to leverage and try to follow up with your existing customers. I mean, if you have a few engagements with your existing clients, I think it's important that you continue to lubricate that relationship and begin to think out of the box on how to make sure that you remain top of mind. Uh, at the end of the day, by God's grace, we will come out of this. What will be the new offerings, by the time you decide to kick off, from where you stopped, before we were all told to, to rest at home. Yes, there's of course, secondly, there's that movement on digital marketing. But again, you have to look at what aspect of digital marketing are you going to explore that would also drive in some level of revenue. You have to now look at what kind of business. If I run, for example, a food, cost, maybe somewhere in ShopRite, I mean, am I going to start dealing with home delivery? Am I going to, ask my existing customers, do you struggle to go to the market to get your food stuff, or do you struggle with power to your food, or you don't even have the time? And that's that that bets forth, an out of the box kind of, thinking. So it's more like keeping your relationship quite liquid with your existing customers, and keep that engagement going out to them, and begin to go into your strategy and see how you can digitize certain areas of your organization. Physical contact will not stop. That's the truth. But again, that's also going to help businesses to redefine their business continuity plan, amidst a disaster. So I mean, that's pretty much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that's really, really a great start to answer those questions, because to answer this particular question, because I think a lot of us that we're so focused on, we got to go digital, it's got to be tech, that we forget the human element, and you've hit the nail on the head on that, keeping the relationships going. So once you kind of identify that that's one of the major milestones that you want to hit, or targets or goals that you want to hit, then it's how do I then keep that relationship going with my clients? Feishaya, jump in. Some of the way businesses, Nigerian businesses at this time, African businesses can pivot.
There are actually some ugly truths about what's going on in the with the COVID-19 pandemic. But to be fair, there's always also a silver lining, and there's always something to learn from. So, I mean, within these times, if you really look at it, taking it from the perspective of, let's say, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there are certain needs that would be less priority right now, and that will actually affect some certain businesses. So if you have do some research and you just check the Maslow hierarchy of needs, you realize that what people currently need now are things that would enable them to survive. So that's food, shelter, clothing, water, and just the basic needs. So if you were the type that you were into, let's say, selling something that has to do with luxury goods, the actual point is that there's a possibility that your business is going to suffer a bit of a dip in, let's say, sales and whatnot. But that means that gives you the ability to think, to be able to say, what are the things that I need to do to be able to pivot to say, oh, right now this is what people need, and this is how I can reshape my business model to actually help their needs or solve their problems. Another thing I would mention as well is also for the the local SMEs is to think partnerships. is to think about the fact that, this is the core of my business. For me to be able to get to the last mile, I will need, looking at partnerships with logistic companies, so someone that, is a local restaurant somewhere, a local cafeteria somewhere, or sells ice cream somewhere, needs to be able to get it to the last mile because people are thinking about the lockdown. So I think those are the kind of, mindsets for, business entrepreneurs to be able to look at it and say, what are the things that I can solve right now? And what are the partnerships I need? Your business, your core business will still always remain your core business, but you have to start looking at areas of partnerships to look at the fact that, okay, if I'm going to remodel from a physical store to an e-commerce website, I definitely need a logistics company to look at it. So it's all about thinking through what the business is and thinking about the partnerships that, you can always leverage on to bring value to your end customers. Thank you.
I love that. I love the idea of looking back at Maslow's hierarchy of needs and just focusing on what people really actually need right now. I've seen, and a good example of this that I saw on Instagram was this company who, they were a luxury fashion design company. And guess what they're doing now? They're making masks. They're making these cool Ankara masks and they're selling them. They're selling out. I tried to order some and they're, we sold out. We can't keep up. But they were a luxury fashion line, and that's how they pivoted. So it's because they've basically taken your advice. Is like, I see they were listening to you, Fisaya, and then they were just like, okay, you know what? People need masks right now. We're going to stop making all these expensive shoes and bags that we're making, and we're going to key into something that people actually need. Deji, do you want to jump in on this one?
Yeah, I like what Faye said is actually critical. And I think I love it when it talks about the hierarchy of needs, because it looks like when push comes to shove, people will now be prioritizing what is important. At the end of the day, we have losers and winners. The list of winners are not so many, and I think those are evolving. Losers, for some, to be very frank, I'm thinking, how are they going to get out of this? So, for example, if you run a spa, if you run a club, if you run a barbering salon, there is no physicality there is no alternative to the physicality, right? So there is no online spa. I don't know unless somebody does a robot that can come around and punch. But so I've been thinking about that. But in reality, is that we also know that, look, as the world evolves, some businesses will literally just go away. When I was younger, people used to have business centers, and that is gone. Nobody seems to have died from that. We used to have typists that, people need to take things. For those of us that left school a long time ago, if you want to do your project, you take it to this guy that will type it, then they use this kind of funny ink to replicate it for you. They've all gone. So I guess the world is just going to evolve. There is nothing anybody can do about that. But in terms of changes that will happen, I'm seeing a question here where someone is asking about how 5G will happen. I hope 5G coming out of here. It basically means that with good internet, right? I believe people will move around less and do more of their businesses where they are. Today, if you ask anybody, give me airtime, give me money, or give me good data. Data is it's almost like life. And on the face of it, 5G is promising good data, high-speed internet. I believe that can be quite significant for everything. Take, for example, if you work, let me put it this way. Let's say if you are in a real estate company, for example, and you do home showing, you don't need to tell the person to come and see you. Both of you can actually agree to meet on Zoom, for example, and then they take their own phone, high speed, to run through the apartment, and you can see it in high definition, and then you can argue. Because I know that checking apartments before you get it can be quite bothersome. It's usually during the day. Now you can have all that. Or you can even have pre-recorded such a way that people can do virtual walkthrough. You don't even need to be there. So you have done the virtual walkthrough, and then you can turn things around, look at places by yourself. Those are the things I believe that high-speed internet, 5G, and even this COVID experience will bring. It will force everyone to rethink what they do. delivery, those delivery guys will become heroes, because in all of us staying on our lanes now, they are the one that will be crossing lanes from one side to the other.
Absolutely.
Even things like, I know that we mentioned like medical stuff. Unless I want to do surgery, if I can have a video call with my doctor and he can tell me to send stuff to me, maybe take sample, whatever, prick my hand, get blood or spit.
Using the delivery guy.
I said, yeah, the delivery guy takes part to the doctor, and then all those things. So those are the possibilities I see. I think in the end, when we look back in 5 years' time, we will see this as that global sacrifice that has to be made for the world to actually jump on into a more interesting place.
All right. All right. Beautiful. All right. One day you haven't hopped in on this one. I haven't heard from you. How can businesses pivot and survive in these times?
All right. So the first thing that you want to think about is they have to pivot, right? Our industry has been telling them, and we've been trying to sell them all kinds of solution, right? And it's not been the top of their priority. A lot of people make all kinds of excuses to keep on to their conventional ways of doing things. And we said, well, we set up Innovate to break conventions and bridge gaps. And when we go out to try to sell some of these things, it was a bit difficult. Yesterday, one of my friends who owns a business said to me, "Guy, what's Dynamics?" I said, "Microsoft Dynamics." He said, "Yes." I said, "You need ERP?" He said, "Yes, I need ERP." I said, "Oh, now you need ERP." So there are a lot of solutions out there that businesses will now have to rely on. Deji mentioned a few of them. Telemedicine is big right now in the West. I believe it's going to trickle down here. We're going to be very big on telemedicine. ERP solutions, customer relationship management solutions, HR management solutions, video conferencing solutions. As a matter of fact, so to also mention another one of our products at Innovate. My work is a 12-module ERP solution that we've been trying to push to the market and trying to gain adoption. Now it's getting the type of recognition that it should get. So these are some of the solutions that you will see that people will latch on to try to survive. But what you would also see in the reverse is a lot more business now might now begin to look at saving on brick and mortar, right? And because a lot of businesses that will tell you that, no, we can't work from home, it's impossible. Now we're working from home.
Right.
Do you understand? So companies will leverage more on technology and save money because, again, as a business, you have to make some tough decisions, right? Cut costs, increase your revenue so that your profit can increase and you can give back to your shareholders. And you see that in areas where they've not really considered as cost-cutting areas, they'll begin to consider them because of the advancement of technology.
Got it. Thank you for that. Okay, next question, guys. Thank you. You guys are giving me so much life. You're giving me so much great answers here. Okay, so my next question, we've been talking a lot with a focus on businesses, but we've got a lot of young people on this call, young, able-bodied, smart Nigerians who are thinking, okay, what next? I just got furloughed, I got laid off, I got fired. I don't have a job. What do I do next? So that's my next question for you all, gentlemen. What do they do next? What is the next big thing? What should they be? What kind of skills should they be picking up in this time? And where do they pick up these skills? Now, I know the Bulb has, training sessions and, there's a lot of online training. We talked about this as one of the big uptakes is online training and learning platforms. But what should they be focusing on? We talked about 5G is coming. We've talked about, telemedicine. One day just talked about that. ERP, CRM, HR solutions, like all these solutions are coming down the pike. And people are going to need, if they're going more digital, if they're going more tech focused, people are going to need a new skill set coming from young people. And what are these skill sets so that our young people can be ready for this while they have some downtime and some data, hopefully. So one day, do you want to jump in on that? Let's start with you.
Absolutely, Faith. This question is very particular because so I grew up in an environment, as you know. By the way, Faith and I went to the same university. I grew up in an environment where a lot of people relied on the old jobs, the cold jobs, right? And people didn't latch onto training. And for us at the Bob Africa, it is absolutely an opportunity for us to really do what we do as a training platform. So you see that we started doing free trainings in this as part of all over COVID-19. We're doing free training in data analysis and data analytics. Data is king right now. And that's one of the few, I believe, careers that would grow after COVID.
I've lost you. You've paused. Okay, everybody else still on? I've just lost one day.
We're right here.
One day I've lost you. You just kind of paused. I don't know what happened. But Richmond, can you continue that thought? Because I know you.
All right. So just to tap into what there was about to maybe finish. So definitely, it's a hard bullet to bite. You know, where you have companies making decisions to lay off. And I believe that necessity, is the mother of invention. So it's a time to upskill some of the areas that you are beginning to see the opportunities, just like what Wande was saying. Data is king now. It depends on how you want to develop the skill to be able to translate that into, a business, or trying to add value, to organizations who might need them, and that brings you back into the earning space. So data analytics are opportunity areas. I'm glad that we offer that training too at the Bob. So for those who are interested in saying that they want to upskill some of their some areas of trying to develop more competencies to also approach jobs of the future, we'll be happy to give you that access to those trainings. Again, sales will not be out of it. You need to go and foster more, selling skills to help, whatever you develop today, whether they are products or services, you need someone who needs to push that out in the market. So these are some of the things that I want to encourage people who have found themselves, a bit behind the line, where you don't just go and learn anything, but I think you must have an idea of where you want to advance your career to, and technology has now become more like the wave, So data analytics, things like conferencing solutions, data engineers, software development, and all of those opportunity areas that are aligned to technology. So these are some of the things that I want to continually encourage everyone, who needs to see that in the next 5, in the next 10 years, I want to remain relevant. If you look at what's happening in the immigration space, there are certain categories for skilled workers who have competencies in some technology, skills. So what that tells you already that, companies and industries and even countries are beginning to see the advantage of those guys who are strong players, in the technology sector. So just upskill, keep looking out for opportunities that would require you to go and learn them. And of course, that puts you in front of any opportunity that could come up, in terms of getting yourself back into maybe a job or being an entrepreneur.
All right.
I think.
All right. Michael Akirele also said business analytics. Face Shayo, please jump in. You're going to.
Okay, I think just to add to what Edmond and Wande, had been talking about in terms of, the technical skills, in terms of data analytics, because obviously, like the saying goes, data will be the new oil. But to put that aside, I think, majorly, I see a whole lot of opportunity, or I see a whole lot of development in people trying to get the right skills and competencies in 1, design thinking, and 2, product management. Why I've decided to use these 2 is because for you to be able to create some sort of product or that solves a particular need, and that need You know, for you to be able to do that, you need to be able to understand the needs of your user and the way your solution would actually solve it. And particularly for product management is to also know that, you know, if you are a product manager, you realize that a lot of, you know, in the product management world is now about lean product management, to be able to say, how do I get something out faster? How do I bring out a minimum viable product and iterate on that product to make it something that people love? I think those two skills, product management, design thinking, a bit of agile project management as well, because that's very widely used in the technology sector as well. I see a whole lot of data passing out, like they've said, so there has to be security. So I see opportunities in developing skills in cybersecurity, to be able to know, you know, what can be hacked or what can be can serve as malicious intent, and be able to block that, to be able to protect people's information as well. So those 3 areas or 4 areas are where I see, you know, the young demographic trying to build talent in, because I believe that the Nigeria needs more of those people, you know, currently at the moment. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'd like to say that, Faith, I'd like to say that Shayo, first of all, killed my internet, then took my book and started reading from it and gave. Absolutely. So you're right on the money, right? And that's why if you look at the training, the trainings that we're currently offering right now, they are introduction to agile methodology, data analysis, data science, and Lean Six Sigma white belt, which means it's teaching businesses or individuals that how to run businesses in a lean and more effective manner. So you cut, you know, with a tight budget and a tight timeline, but then with more efficiency and effectiveness. So absolutely, you're right on the money.
Okay, we can do that. Thank you so much. All right, so Deji, your turn.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know we've spoken a lot about technology, but not everybody can go into technology, I think, directly. What I would say is, so that a lot of young people who will not think, if they don't know how to write codes or go into product management, there's no hope for them. No, there's quite a lot of hope.
Agile.
Obviously.
Agile. What was that one now? Is this something? Is it a new dance move? Is it a new billboard?
Absolutely. So here's the thing, right? I think the first thing is for anybody to know that if you lose your job right now, I think the first thing you should do is how to actually just stand the slide. You need to go reduce your expenses drastically to the barest minimum, because the idea is to make sure you stay alive to actually be able to see coming out of this valley. The next thing is to ask us, so as people are losing jobs, reality is that some of those roles, what business leaders are doing is there a way we could do this differently? So for example, in our organization, we don't have full-time HR person. Our HR is outsourced. In the end, the HR is kind of more cost effective than having someone. Because even if I have someone, the person still has to go on leave, something could happen. But if it's an outsourced service, I know very well for sure that, look, even if the person is not around, somebody will stand in place. Some of the roles we've been playing before this debacle, right, could be something that, look, if you are very good at it, right, you could actually offer it to multiple people. I know people that maybe have offered, maybe they used to be graphic designers who were working before, they asked them to leave. Now they could freelance and provide that same service to multiple people. And they have better control of their time and their money. What I would say is the critical factors to look for this is that, how will people find you, right? If you are the type that doesn't like to, you are not there, nobody can find you, you are not online, you are not, you don't have your LinkedIn, or your LinkedIn is tacky, nobody's going to find you, because these days, because nobody will see your face, nobody's going to do interview for you. Whatever you put out there describing your professional, not personal, professional life is the one thing that people will use to quickly make decisions about you. So you need to put yourself out there. 2, you need to be able to write well. You don't need to be a novelist, but you need to be able to describe what you do. so that anybody looking at you know the kind of quality you bring to the table. Another thing is that you need to have quality. How do you present yourself? When you are sending either your CV or you're sending a document to a prospective client to say, this is where I can manage your HR for you. How does it look? Does it come in some scattered way, the dirty looking document, fonts all over the place? Or does it look so professional, right, that they think they're getting the real deal? And the truth is, for those who have been in real estate or sold cars before, when you want to sell a house, sell a car, when you repaint it and make it look very clean, you could have 10, 20% premium on that thing. It's the same way how you present yourself. And then you need to be out there. You need to write a few things about what you do, because sometimes people, in looking for solutions, we come across reactive. I've seen something like that before. There was a guy we almost took in my office to work with us, a foreigner, because he wrote a very amazing article about risk management for venture in the venture capital space. Now, we almost got this guy, but we didn't. And we didn't take him not because of him or because of some other decisions, right? But it was a very good thing. We discovered him because we found him online. We found his work. So this is where people have to put in discipline. Now, when you now get the first job or the first minor one, sometimes you may have to undercut yourself just to break the jinx of not having a customer, right? You are never going to succeed based on your first business anyway. You have to put in your very best. This is where you have to be responsible. If you say you are going to start a meeting at 1, it has to be 1 on the dot. If you're not going to make it, your client is not looking for you. You are giving them answer. Even when they tell you no, you are not throwing tantrum like a newborn baby. You know, when you do all that, then you can now see what they call referrals. Everybody knows that, look, the best way is word of mouth is the best means of getting anything. For a lot of people, if I need somebody to do anything for me, I call people that I trust and say, do you know someone who does XYZ? And they will tell me someone who hasn't screwed them over. When you do a good job, right, what happens is that people will end up spread your gospel. So those are the few things I know. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom. Your job doesn't even have to be tech, but use tech to accentuate it. If you're an accountant today, a lot of people will probably sack their full-time accountant. You could be a part-time accountant. If you are doing admin, you could help them come around twice a week to do administration for them, to help them handle invoices, handle cleaners, and the rest of them. So there is a whole lot. Everything will turn into a gig economy in some ways down the line, but internal qualities, external qualities, being out there, networking, being responsible, being accountable will be very, very important.
Eyes on your digital footprint. Okay, that was brilliant. Thank you so, so much. All right, guys, we're about to wrap up. Final thoughts. I want to hear from our audience. We've got 37 participants so far. If you guys have any questions that you'd like to ask our panelists, this is your time. So please go ahead and ask away. And, in the meantime, I'll just have the panelists all just finish up with their rounding thoughts on what it's going to look like post-COVID, except for Deji, because Deji already preempted that. He already started the line of thinking towards that. And I love what you said overall about the soft skills being just as important as the tech skills, so it's about tech skills. If you're able to get them, if you're along those lines, you're able to train for them. You can use the Bulb services, training services. You can use so many other training services as well, depending on what you're trying to pick up in terms of skills. But the soft skills and your digital footprint, I think it's very important conversation for people to start having, so that when people Google your name and try to find you on LinkedIn or wherever else you are online, that they find who you want to present, Pretend as if the universe, the internet is your universe now, and it's going to be the place to find you. Your resume is going to live on there. Your articles that you write, the kind of content that you put out, what your name is found for. This is the new normal. I don't see any questions yet coming from. Just when I sign off, that's when you guys will bring in all the questions. But yeah, final thoughts. Richmond, let's go. Off mute. Take off your mute button.
All right. Thank you. Post-COVID, we will come out of this by God's grace, and it's important that I think we I think we've said quite a lot around that. And one day mentioned the advent of telemedicine. Again, that you would find hospitals trying to rejiggle some of their operations, maybe reduce the number of wait time at the reception areas, and you critically with only patients who have reasons to physically appear. I believe we will see that coming up. I also see businesses adopting, like what I previously mentioned, virtual meetings to cut costs. Initially, you would find uh, people who like to travel and get all the travel allowance. I think businesses will have reasons to justify that. Ability to cut that, and that drives into cutting costs into your bottom line. I see new policies coming up, both in the health space and, of course, in the business terrain. People, especially the government, they should begin to look at how they can draft good policies, especially within the health space, and, of course, the professionals in that sector. Again, businesses will see that we have to be more digital, than physical. And for me, I believe that some of these trends and changes, we'll see that adoption, happening by the time we're out of this pandemic. Hopefully, VCs and private equity firms will look out for, startups who have positioned themselves for this change and offload some of their cash, and invest in some of these promising startups who have, the long haul in view. So ultimately, it's just positioning yourself, upskill yourself, have the right eye on the ground, and better present yourself for opportunities that could come. But again, you must have all that is required, when these opportunities show up. There will also be, lastly, the advent of e-learning. I know that has started in the Western world, but again, I think we have seen that played out. I'm not sure what the Ministry of Education would do in terms of maybe taking back the curricula and saying, what, we lost about 3 or 4 months now. But, I mean, education has to continue. So e-learning will be well appreciated at this time. So I would advise that people position their solution or innovation within that space. Overall, self-development. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richmond. That was lovely. All right, one day, final thoughts post-COVID?
So for me, it's more of trying to use the platform that we have at the Bulb to look. There's an advantage that we have in Nigeria that most of the Western countries don't have. We're a growing population in the sense that we're very young. Our average age is 18. I know Canada wants Nigerians. I know that they want the best and productive ones out of us, but it gives us an opportunity to focus on training the population for the 21st century jobs that are out there. So those are that would be my parting words. And so I also, you threw a challenge around educating us, the public, on 5G. And I was going to make a commitment then. So I'm making the commitment now that the Bulb Africa will write a paper on 5G and what it means for Africa. And then we'll put that out in the nearest future. So for us is making sure that we are ready for, we are stepping up. We now need to, we've been forced to break convention. Let's do it the right way. Let's break convention. Let's use technology to aid the, our businesses. We're not trying to disrupt or break anything. We just want to use technology to speed up things and, make us more efficient and effective.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for that. And also, we need to find a way to push all of our innovations to the wider nations. According to Tenny Oshukoya, she's saying to all the panelists that because Nigerians are slow to innovation, the only thing that Nigerians really, really, really all agree on is this hunger for success. So how can we then use this hunger that they have for success and the innovation and sell this together, Final thoughts post-COVID on how to do that for Ishayo?
So basically, I would say think value and don't think money. Essentially, if you are able to provide value and you're able to solve a problem, you would always be successful. There are going to be different ways to monetize something that is of value to people, because people would always keep coming back to it. So on my post-COVID comments, I would say for the government, more regulations and more policies that support interoperability. Interoperability in the sense of looking at how, people can leverage on data, can leverage on the fact that they have a consolidated identity management system that allows, us to tackle things like the COVID-19 pandemic. I think that's some of the ways or some of the approaches that the likes of Taiwan and South Korea have been able to, leverage on and use to kind of like suppress the widespread of the pandemic in those areas. For corporates and companies, I would say, yeah, keep up the good work. More remote working, I love it. Yes, I can get used to a bit of remote working. For public, we will get out of it, definitely. It's going to take a bit of while. I cannot tell you particularly when, but we will definitely. What I would say is stay safe, stay home, practice some social distancing. It's just going to take a bit of time, but we would eventually be able to see and possibly touch each other again. For tech startups, or tech founders, or startups trying to disrupt or bring about solutions that are disruptive to the Nigerian economy, I would say, yeah, they should keep up the good work. I would say think more along platforms as opposed to products and services. So think more about the vision of your company should be a platform like an Amazon, should be a platform like, a Microsoft.
Okay, we just lost you. Okay, are you still there, Shire?
Or they can enrich people's life. And obviously taking out from my favorite phrase, live in the future, build what's missing. So think about what's going to happen in the future. How do you think people are going to be using stuff, and see how you can start building towards it, essentially. So yeah.
Okay, live in the future, build what's missing. Okay, so think, you said think platforms as opposed to products and solutions, right? That's what you said.
Yeah.
I lost you. Okay, thank you so much, Free. All right, Deji, final thoughts?
Okay, what's happening now is one of those things that we read in history books, maybe the things that the legend of this time will go on for a long time. And the reality is that, see, look, when anything happens, there are two ways to look at it. It's either you find the opportunities or you think this is a death sentence. It's the same thing, right? The only thing I can tell people right now is that why I can't see the future. I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know how deep the impact will be. But what I know for sure is that there are opportunities out there. If we can just all, instead of screaming and being gloomy, this can be life transforming for a lot of people. Some of the companies we know now today that are very successful actually came out of for the tech companies, some of them came out of when the world went upside down, 2008, 2009, 2010, when we had the downtown. And everybody knows even companies that are created during difficult times tend to be very hardy and very resilient. So for everyone, yes, life will change the way we see things. When we come out of this, we'll all come out like cavemen, but we'll come out with different insights. So I would say people should not give up. People have to put up their best game, because the only alternative you have is either you succeed or you die, right? Losing one's mind about what am I going to do is never going to help. If you have cash right now, this is the time to be extremely prudent. Unless something is life and death, there is no need to buy it. After all, there is no way, if you buy anything right now, there's even nobody to use you can't use to impress anyone. So just keep the cash, be serious, and let's think. People need to think out of the box. When I mean out of the box, this is out of the box that is life and death. So like for job losses will still come. If it hasn't come to anyone, start simulating what it will look like to lose a job and say, okay, what will you do differently? Whatever that is, start with now. Like I said, some of the ideas I've given, people should deal with it. And post-COVID, we all come out and assess what the issues are. I believe technology will be winner, but we don't all have to be core technology. Not all of us can be programmers, not all of us can be designers, all of us can be product managers. We don't need to be all that. We can still be our regular tailors. We can still be our, well, does anybody want to wear clothes? We can still be our regular accountant, our regular HR person. We can still be our regular lawyers. We just need to put up our A game. Of course, after COVID, we're still going to wear clothes, but this time around, everything will be, nobody's probably going to come and meet you. And I believe that Baba will still be important. How we're going to deal with that.
Will still be important, guys.
Very important, very.
This is why
I was telling one day that we're going to do video because I'm already looking like one of those things you dig up in history books, like, they're digging all these cavemen, but we will come out of this anyway, for sure, we will. I know I'm going to come out of this.
Right.
I will come out doing way better than I was before the problem. It's a decision. When we think that way, we will start seeing opportunities because the opportunities are there.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I think that is so important. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on board with the Bulb and, sharing your minds, your thoughts, your ideas, and all of these great minds together. I just love it. Thank you so much for all those people who joined us, all of our amazing guests. Michael Akirile wants to know, is there a WhatsApp group for the followers of the Bulb? Okay, I think they've shared that. So it's twitter.com, The Bulb, Facebook, The Bulb Africa. So Twitter, The Bulb Africa, everywhere, The Bulb Africa, even on Instagram. So Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, The Bulb Africa, okay? But on Instagram, it's thebulb.africa. And I'm sure they're gonna set up a WhatsApp group. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. And thank you for everyone who joined us online. You guys, please join us on our next session. One day we'll share the information with you. Just follow the Bulb on all those platforms and you will find out more about them. And until next time, it's bye for now. From me, your girl, Faith History. Also follow me at eDigital Africa. That's where you can find me. That's my online digital home, eDigitalAfrica.com. That's the website. And on all other platforms as well, Twitter, Instagram, all of those places. And we'll keep bringing the information to the people. So once you're done with your paper on 5G, we've got an article, I think, released next week on 5G as well. We'd love to put that on the show and, just kind of break it down for people to understand in a wider forum. And I think one of our listeners or one of our audience members mentioned that, how do we get this innovation out? That is what my show does, Everything Digital. We use radio, we use mass media to get out the information that sometimes can feel very technical and difficult to understand. And we try to break it down in a fun way that our youth can understand. And that's basically how we're plugging into this digital technology matrix. Okay, more Netflixing time. I'm out. Thank you to everybody.
All right, bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.